Welcome to the Bournemouth preview with Full-Time Devils. We have got a commercial seal for you guys with the lovely people at Quiff, the only sports betting app where any bet could be supercharged. For every new customer deposit on Quiff, you'll receive a further £10 surprise bet. That is courtesy of Quiff's partnership with Full-Time Devils. The bet is chosen for you, could also be supercharged, and should it win, the potential winnings are withdrawable in cash, including the stake. So basically, there's no wagering requirements. And I'll tell you about this. We're running a big competition. The largest percentage Quiff bet sent to us by Full-Time in the Newcastle game will win in 1999 Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signed shirt. We fancy Marcus Rashford as first goal scorer. That's 15-4, potentially returning £23.75 from our £5 stake. Remember, T's and C's apply, over 18s only, and be gamble aware. The link to all of this is below. So let's get cracking with this preview to Bournemouth. I've got the lovely, look at us in front of us, Scott. Hello, Scott. You okay, Scott?
Absolutely fine. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas to you, Scott. Dale from Stretty News. Hello, Dale.
Merry Christmas.
And Paul Rantcast. Paul Rantcast, is that your second name, Rant? Middle name,
Yeah.
You christened that?
No, it's the whole surname. We had it legally changed.
Oh, did
when
you?
We started
Yeah,
the podcast.
Depot.
It was optimistic at the time, but here we are 9 years later. It proved a worthy
And it
decision.
still works on your passport. Right, so I want to talk about 8 goals in the last 2 games for the Reds. It has obviously been Cardiff and then Huddersfield at Old Trafford not long ago. And many people are saying, well, what can we really see Manchester United doing against them teams? You know, they aren't the big hitters. They aren't the ones that might cause a hiccup. But I want to know from, let's say, you, Paul, of the last 2 games, what can you see from Manchester United and how much can you judge Ollie's management of the Reds? Only 2 games in and not really against big clubs.
What it tells us about him really isn't about his quality as a manager, but because it's far too early. It doesn't matter who we'd played at this point. 2 games in, it would be far too early under any circumstances to talk about his quality as a manager. But it does show quite a lot about his intentionality as a manager, and it gives us some hints and some promise at what his kind of relationship with the players might be and what his kind of tactical outlook might be. Because one of the things about the it's only factor, it's only Cardiff. Only. Yeah, it's only Cardiff, it's only Huddersfield. That is obviously extremely accurate. But one of our biggest problems by miles under both Mourinho and Van Gaal was what we do against the it's only teams. Because that's the thing that's almost changed the most in the post-Fergie era. Under Fergie, we had some fantastic results against big teams, sure, but also some dodgy results from time to time against the big teams. There were some poor trips to Anfield. There was even the odd poor trip from them to us. And our record at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League era makes for ugly reading. So the real key thing that's changed is we've stopped being able to take for granted beating smaller teams. And a lot of that has been about the tactical approach used in those games. It's not rocket science. Solskjaer has kept the fullbacks forward and given the central midfielders license to break beyond the ball, and he's given the centre-back in possession license to go forward with the ball. That's tactically really all that's changed, and we're pressing high up the pitch when the opposition has the ball. So if Solskjaer keeps playing like that, I believe that with the crop of players we've got, the performances the results will be broadly positive.
Scott, you see the smiles back on the players' faces. In a way, the team celebrations when the goals go in. For you sort of, you say it as it is. What have you made the last 2 games? What have you made of Ollie's start to Manchester United?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is the first manager where I've not thought anything other than the next game. I just haven't thought about anything long term. I'm just enjoying it. I really am. I'm enjoying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being the manager. I'm trying not to get emotionally too involved because, I don't know whether you've seen the film Old Yeller. When you get back to the sort of,
Yeller. Didn't think you were going to bring that up in this preview. I've got to be honest with you,
like
Scott.
I don't want us to put the guy down because obviously I love him. I have a lot of love for him.
Don't bring back the I Am Legend as well. Is it kind of like
that? But this is the thing. It's there's a lot of factors when we talk about smaller teams, but look at what about the influence of Mickey Phelan? Surely he's had such a positive influence. Also, clearly the players tried a lot harder than they did under Mourinho. That is evident.
So what do you think then with Ollie? What has he gone into the dressing room and made that? Do you think the players just weren't bothered about giving in 100% to Mourinho? Or do you think Ollie's kicked the backsides a bit? What do you think's happened there?
I wonder whether Ollie's actually just working with the players. So instead of having like a hierarchy, they're now more of a team together, working together. The players clearly had a lot of power, so there was issues between him and between Pogba and Mourinho, etc. And it was evident of that. But I'm just wondering whether his different style. You can't be this Sir Alex Ferguson hairdryer guy anymore. Clearly, we've seen that didn't work for Van Gaal, didn't work for Jose Mourinho. I just think Ole Solskjaer is working with the players, and maybe the players, they look at this that maybe it's temporary. Go out there, just enjoy yourselves. And this is what we're seeing. But I'm loving every minute of it. But again, I'm taking it one game at a time, and I'm just enjoying every day that the guy's manager. So, yeah.
It's pretty nice running for the first 5 fixtures. Will you get a bit worried then if you come up against a top 4 side? Do you think then you might start making a bit more interest in how Ollie can take the club further?
No, because again, we're not worried about, we look at the defence and we know. I think this is where Jose Mourinho made the mistake. He tried playing defensive football with such poor defenders, and that's why we all said, we needed a centre-back if he wanted to play that style of football. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has probably realised, we just need to play attack and outscore these guys, a bit like the Kevin Keegan approach. I really, like I said, enjoyed the football. I'm very confident in the players that we've got going forward. I'm still obviously concerned about the defence, but you just have to, like I say, take each game as it comes and just enjoy it. I mean, how many attacks on goal are we having? How much possession are we having there? We've not seen this for a while, so again, I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to say he's the next guy for the job. I mean, God help us if we do finish top 4. Can you imagine Ed Woodward sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
I don't think could be riots in the street. I think I'll stay inside that day. For you, Dale, then, I know Scott's saying one game at a time, and I get that, but we've got to mention if Ollie does do stuff in this season, ticks a lot of boxes, he will be up there when it comes to picking the new full-time United manager. What for you, Dale, would Ollie have to do to really make you confident as a United fan and give him, say, a 2 to 3 year contract?
It's the reason why it's so tough to answer that is because I'm like Scott, taking each game as it comes. But I'm buzzing. I'm really, really happy with what I've seen so far. And it's not just the football, it's not just the goals. It's seeing him smile, and he's happy to be at Man United. It's a happy place again. Gone from being a club and a dressing room where the joy of football was sucked out of it. In a matter of a few days, a week, everyone's happy. It's buzzing. It's the festive period. So how does he get the job? For me, I'd love to see the standard of football we're seeing now and improve it. As Paul alluded to, it's good players there and the sense of together, and it will improve between now and the end of the season, hopefully. If he wins the majority of his games in the league and brings us into top 4 or closer, I'm saying maybe, just maybe.
Maybe, just maybe.
A shot at getting the full-time gig.
Scott, for you then, let's put yourself in the mind of Ollie. He adores the club. He's been there, he's played them, and now he's in charge. He's got to see the next couple of months as his audition to become Manchester United manager. Would he not be disappointed if he doesn't give 100% and not get it at the end of the season? Or would he be happy just doing the job of covering until a full-time manager comes in?
Well, I mean, first of all, if it was my decision, I'd give him the job because, I love him.
Would you give it?
No.
£100 million a week as well.
I would love it if he made moves, for instance, like bringing Fosu Mensah back, bringing Tuan Zabius. If he did moves like this where he was saying, look, I'm not going to spend loads of money, I'm not going to invest in loads, brought in the young players, I would look at it to see what he would do to then say, look, Ed Woodward, get the fans behind him. Get the fans behind him, like I said, with the players that he wants to, work with at the moment. And just put it out there. I do believe he will, get top 4 if he keeps playing this way. If the players keep playing for him and the club, it's not too far. It really isn't. It's it just takes a couple of losses. I mean, look at City. I mean, in the last 3 games they've had. It's not impossible for a team that, we thought they were invincible, so we can catch these boys. We can get top 4. But if, like I said, top 4 and a nice cup run, I mean, Jesus Christ, if he beats Paris Saint-Germain,
look at that. If he beats Paris Saint-Germain,
he somehow does this and then finishes top 4, but has a little, a nice run with playing the youth guys. Again, it'd be very hard for Ed Woodward to sack a guy who qualified for Europe, who we all adore, for Pochettino, who will cost him 60 million. But again, I just hope that he just keeps doing what he does. Listen to Mick Phelan. He's clearly listening to Sir Alex Ferguson. He's clearly Sir Alex Ferguson's choice, because the Glazers would never have heard of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ed Woodward would never have thought of bringing him in. And I just hope, like I said, just keep it going. And, if he gets the positions that we all say, then fine.
I've got a tricky question for you next. I'll start with you, Paul. I'm going to put you on the spot already. So we're reading that Lukaku, Martial and Sanchez may all be fit for the next game against Bournemouth, but definitely could be all in the lineup for Newcastle. The tricky question is, if you were to pick your front attacking lineup for Manchester United, all fit, all firing on full cylinders, all being the peak of what they've played for at Manchester United, who do you put up top? How do you play it? And who is on the starting 11 and who's on the bench?
Well, I'm just going to clarify, because you said at their peak for Manchester United, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you mean at their peak when one particular player is considered in that list.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of one player when I said it for Manchester United.
Yeah.
I think we might all know who.
I think that, first of all, I wouldn't have a front 3, especially not at home against smaller sides. I'd have a front 4, because I'd play a 4-2-3-1 with Pogba and Matic, or Pogba and Herrera in the centre against smaller sides, because I'd have Juan Mata at number 10, basically. And you've got Lingard, who can easily fit there as backup as well. But Mata would be my first choice in that spot. I'd have... Hey, guess what? I'd have Anthony Martial on the left wing. What a radical idea that is.
They told you were crazy, Paul.
Turn of events. And I'd have Marcus Rashford up front. I think I like Romelu Lukaku a lot more than a lot of United fans seem to like Romelu Lukaku. I like him personally a lot. I like his kind of approach to the game. A lot of the things that you've heard about him coming through, and what a studious person he is. And I think under the right manager, you could still get an awful lot out of Romelu Lukaku. But in order to do that, you would have to choose then to do that rather than maximise Marcus Rashford. And to me, that's almost like the one of the very most important jobs any United manager could possibly have, is making sure that Marcus Rashford wins a Ballon d'Or one day. And on the right flank, I'm a little bit torn, actually, because it's either you play Mata out there and Lingard at 10, but I actually do think it is worth putting some time and energy into Alexis Sanchez, because he's a heck of a player on his day, isn't he? And I maintain a slight suspicion that actually this is not about Mourinho, as almost everything else is. But I maintain a slight suspicion that this is about the fact that actually Alexis Sanchez has just played too much football in the last 7 years or so. And that there comes a point where there is a finite number of miles in the legs of a player like that. Now, I'm not saying, that's definitely what's happened. This is not a Wayne Rooney 2015 situation where it was really obvious. But I think there is a chance. But I would say that a front 4 of Martial on the left, Rashford up top, Sanchez on the right, and Mata behind them is just about the maximum potential of all the attacking options we've got.
Scott, for you then, for your attacking options, also you get to pick. You get to be the manager here. And I'd like to know if you think Ollie's got any pressure in picking certain players, or do you think he's literally got a free reign of who he wants to play up top when he wants to?
I would actually go with exactly what Paul's saying, that team exactly. Again, hypotheticals. But I do disagree with the Alexis Sanchez thing. I think he has done a Wayne Rooney. I think he's done. I don't want to say it, I don't want to believe it, but there's just something it's just gone. Whatever he had, and it's the basic football side of it that you can see. It's just that yard that he's missing. I don't know whether he can get that back, but
Will you still play him?
You'd still play him because he's good enough for the Premier League. But again, it's how would he fit in at the moment? I mean, obviously, if I was picking right now, I'd play Lingard, but would I play Lingard compared to a in-form, top of his game Alexis Sanchez? No, not at all. That just wouldn't be the case. As for Lukaku, the problem that Lukaku's got is it's muscle that he's put on. He's not fat. He can't just lose the weight.
Yeah, he's not done it me.
Big.
Over the Christmas
He's
period.
a big, he's not like, like me where you put me in a steam room and then I can come out and, well, no, that's not going to work. But
let's not talk about that one. We'll have to rate it over 18s
what
this video.
is the problem that Lukaku has is he's bulked up far too much.
Okay.
How do you lose muscle mass? And if you can't lose the muscle mass, how is he going to get to, what we know he can be, which is a guy who gets the ball and can quickly run on into the spaces and then get onto balls that Pogba can play. And that's where Rashford now is far better than him at, just far better. And you have to play Rashford. So I worry about Lukaku in the future.
Yeah.
I'm concerned whether he's going to be with the club for a long time. But I would definitely like to say stick with what Paul said. I think he's right.
So Dale, are you going to be? We're going to tick all the boxes. Are you going to be a triple threat? Are you going to go what everyone else said, or have you got a different opinion with how you play the top three?
Well, slightly different if you're considering all these players playing at their peak levels. Although I do agree with Scott and some of what Paul said about perhaps Sanchez get to the stage where it could be like Rooney and being totally shocked there he was. Like, I don't think he was particularly great shortly before he left Arsenal either. We weren't buying a player that was in absolute prime. So we shouldn't just pin this to Manchester United and that we were the virus, as Mourinho might say. But on the left, I think it has to be Anthony Martial. He, for me, epitomised what a Manchester United attacker should be. With weight or getting into the box, he's just dangerous and he frightens defenders. For me, he's the one player out of all the attackers for me that just has to be in there. He's secure. Up front, as much as I love Rashford and really agree with what Paul was saying about the next manager has to get the most out of him and make sure he becomes the player we all know he can be. For me, I'm going to go with Lukaku. I think when Lukaku was on his day, I don't think Rashford showed the form that Lukaku has. He's a real goal scoring threat. He's proved it with everything. He's proved it in the past. But it's a matter of he just seems too big. It looks like muscle more than fat, and I'm not sure how he's going to shred that overnight. It's a big task, and I'm not an expert on that. On the right hand side, I love Lingard. I think he's going to be a key player in the Solskjaer side. He works tremendously hard. His link-up play, his movement is key. So I'd likely stick with him, although I just feel so guilty leaving out Rashford. Another player that just... Well, he's too many options, I guess. But for me, it's going to be Lingard. And I want to see Pogba too behind those players, not in a deep position.
Thank you very much there, Dale. Make sure if you've got a different opinion, comment below. We're going to take a quick ad break, but predictions after this. Right, so it's time for the predicted 11s here. Obviously, I've got Paul, Scott and Dale, and we're all going to choose our predicted starting 11 for Manchester United. We've been having a competition throughout the whole series. And Dale, we have the top of the league, Dale, who is there just sitting on his perch with 9.2, only 5 appearances. Obviously, his 6th appearance now. He could could increase that gap even more. Scott, you do all right yourself as well, mate. And Paul, you're getting there, but Dale is the champion. So do you know what? I think we'll start with the champion, if that's all right, Dale. You are top of the league. Can you go and tell us your predicted 11 for the game against Bournemouth?
David De Gea in goal, Diego Dalot right back, Lindelof partnered by Jones, centre half. There's no point changing something when the players look like they're playing with a bit of confidence. A left back, Luke Shaw. Midfield, Matic, I think, is just a player the last 2 games. It's been all season with Mourinho. And a trusted figure under Mourinho, which kind of can't really throw the brush at him that he wasn't playing for the manager. And so a massive improvement for him and deserves his place and a bit of credit. Pogba, again, another player people throwing that out, deserves to start. He's been a colossal, brilliant player against Huddersfield again. And partnered by him, I think he's going to replace Fred and bring Herrera back in. Just busy, industrious, works his socks off. And he's an important player to have in this team, especially when we're kind of going from back to forwards really quickly. He's an important player to have. Obviously, we're going to look at the front three, and people are hoping or expect to see some changes. I think we'll see Martial come back on the left, and thankfully, I can't wait to see him back buzzing in his team, attacking football. And I'm expecting to see Romelu Lukaku back up front. On the right-hand side, as I said previously, Lingard is such a key part to this team under Solskjaer, and it's a start again.
Right, so we're going to go. Thank you very much for that. Let's see if Dale can remain top of the league. From top of the league to what I've just figured out, probably is relegation zone. Scott, no pressure here, mate. You need vital points here for you. 6.5, you are down at the bottom. You might want to change your manager soon. Can you give us your predicted 11 for the game against Bournemouth? No pressure, though. No pressure.
Yeah, De Gea in goal. The lot's right back. I'm going to go with Bailey and Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Matic, Herrera, Pogba, Martial, Rashford, and Lingard. Super team, and we will destroy Bournemouth.
Destroy Bournemouth. Little preview into your predictions there. Paul, I rate your mid-table. You could be going top 4 if you pull your finger out your backside. Can you give us predicted 11, please?
Yeah. I feel like, first of all, a word of respect to Dale, because to hit that kind of average, and it is a respectable number of appearances.
Average.
I mean, it's not a big number of appearances, let's face it, but it's a respectable number. He meets the threshold.
Dale here is the only one of us 4 that's above average. So
yeah, if I was Dale, I wouldn't be on this show. I'd be like, listen, I've got 5 appearances. I'm out. I'm just going to ride this 9.2 to the end of the season. I'm going with Dave in goal. I thought Delot struggled a little, actually. And it was interesting that he was replaced when he was. I wonder whether Solskjaer will revert to Young at right back and go with Young, Lindelof, Jones and Shaw. I'm not sure that I necessarily want him to do that, but I suspect he might. I've gone with a midfield 3 that I thought about for ages of Herrera, Matic and Pogba. Fred, there was one absolutely gorgeous pass, and I thought he was excellent in his little cameo against Cardiff. But we definitely looked better once Herrera came on against Huddersfield. So I wonder whether we'll go back to Herrera, Matic and Pogba. The cure himself, Paul Pogba. And then I don't know how you drop Juan Mata after that performance. So I've gone with Mata on the right. I wonder whether he'll give Martial an extra bit of recovery time after his illness, play Rashford on the left, and use that as a way of bringing Lukaku back into the team without too much difficulty, without making too many changes at once. So I've gone with Mata, Lukaku and Rashford. That's not the front 3 that I would pick, but it's my guess at what one of the most beautiful humans of all time, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will do.
And he is a beautiful man. Right, let's move on then to just talking away from United and the opposition, Bournemouth. Now, what games I've seen them do play nice football. They can get into teams quite easily. And will Eddie Howe, maybe see this as an opportunity to make his name in the hat there, throw his name in the hat. Scott's there, just not happy about that comment at all. Let's talk about what we know about Bournemouth players we should look out for. Paul, Scott, Dale, everyone wants to throw in it. Do you think they're going to be a hard opposition?
What's interesting about this is doing the research for the last Bournemouth preview. It's very similar players that stand out, but basically their numbers are all about where they were at that point, because that's when Bournemouth were in a pretty decent vein of form. And actually, if you remember that game, in the first half they were better than us, and it was one of those second half FC performances that we were able to put in occasionally when the players decided, do you know what, we've got some professional pride on the line, let's ignore what he says and do our thing. Ryan Fraser is still their kind of creator-in-chief, 8 assists already this season, and can play all the way across the midfield, but often this season has been playing on the left. And Callum Wilson, you can't really argue with 8 goals. I was looking at the super nerdy data, and 8 goals is about bang on where he's meant to be in terms of his XG on a personal level. I think it's probably notable that their performance against Tottenham, that did not look like a 5-0 performance. I'm not saying that they were unlucky to lose that game, but they were definitely. That was one where everything Tottenham hit flew, and actually not a million miles away from us against Cardiff, where where it just had that little pixie dust on us, that kind of Christmas magic, and everything flew in that could have flown in. So it was a bit of that, and it's especially the nil part is unlucky because they did create some fairly big chances in that game, Bournemouth. But I think that the run of form that they're in and the sheer difference in quality of player should mean that we shouldn't even really be considering this major. Obviously, we have to take them seriously, and they do have some threats, but we are just a better side than them.
Anyone else? Scott, you worried at all?
Well, I say, the 3 players that come to mind, obviously Callum Wilson, Josh King, and Fraser. These are players that obviously I do like. Can't take away from the fact that they've won 1 in 5. However, they play really good attacking football, and they're a very honest team, unlike the disgusting, vile scum that is Liverpool.
Don't get banned from here for 24 hours.
Yeah, banned from there. Actually, I went to Bournemouth last year, a very nice city, unlike the disgusting, vile scum that is Liverpool. Sorry, but no, I think we'll be far too strong for them. But I've got a feeling they'll score. I've got a feeling they will score. Yeah, especially if Jones plays.
Dale, for you, Eddie Howe, the kind of manager you'd see doing well with Bournemouth side. Does he have a future at a big club after Bournemouth? And do you worry at all about the game?
I wouldn't put him in the hat, Manchester United. Not
Nope.
I respect them. I respect Bournemouth more than I would have gone into games against Cardiff and Huddersfield. I think it'd be a little bit more difficult, more of a challenge. But I still think we have too much for Bournemouth, and we should win comfortably. But I'm not expecting loads of goals and an absolute hammering of Bournemouth. But yeah, look, he's a good manager. He's done a great job there. And I would like to see him get a slightly bigger job. Maybe the Spurs job if we get Pochettino.
What a good shout there. We'll record that, mate. We'll clip that up, make sure if it ever happens. Let's move on now to get our crystal balls out. We all done it? We're going to have a look at the predictions for the game. Paul smashed it against Huddersfield. Got it spot on. 1,000 kudos points here for you. Apparently.
Nice.
You can take them to the bank of Full Time Devils, see what you do with them. Let's go we'll start with you, Dale, first, please. Can I get your score prediction for Bournemouth against Manchester United?
2-1 Man United.
2-1 Manchester United. Okay, I like it. For you, Scott?
6-1.
Oh, yeah, your magic balls have been having a drink, haven't they? For you, Paul? Christmas Baileys for your magic ball there. Paul, 6-1. I mean, you've got something to play for here. You got last preview right. Ooh.
I'm on the water. I'm going with 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. 3-1 again. I think that we've got a lot of players really, really in the mood, but I think it's not a bad thing. We're quite vulnerable on the counter-attack. I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing because that shows the level of attacking intent, and you can't base your whole footballing philosophy in 2018 on not being vulnerable to the counter-attack. That those days are gone. So yeah, I think we'll probably concede again unless De Gea continues his ridiculous madness. But even if he does, like Scott said, there are some, let's just euphemistically say, issues with our back four, vis-a-vis conceding big chances that even Dave can't stop. So, yeah, I'm going with 3-1.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Before we tell you what is coming up on Full Time Devils, I just want to let you know about Quiff, the only sports betting app where any bet could be supercharged. Every new customer who deposits on Quiff will receive a further £10 surprise bet, courtesy of Quiff's partnership with us here at Full Time Devils. The bet is chosen for you and also could be supercharged should it win. No, the potential winnings are withdrawable in cash. This is including the stakes, so basically there's no wagering requirements. We're also running a competition. The largest percentage Quiff bet sent to us by full time in the Newcastle game will win a signed 1999 Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shirt. We fancy Marcus Rashford as the first goal scorer, 15-4, potential returns of £23.75 of our £5 stake. Remember, T's and C's apply, over 18s only. Be gamble aware, link below for everything. And all these gentlemen here, their Twitters and their podcasts and Stretty News, everything is below. Coming up on Full Time Devils, me and Suff sitting here watching the Bournemouth game with you. I'll keep a note on everyone's predictions and give them a tick on the box. And also Fancams at Old Trafford. So thank you very much for watching. Come on United. I'm going 2-0. Let's have it.